Try and get in the same spot. There you go. Oh, right there. Oh, look at that. Oh, he got off. Right there. Got him. Today we're going to go over how to fish a frog, what different types of frogs there are, and the setup you want to throw a frog on. So that's what we're going to go over today. We have a pretty nice area here. We're going to try and use some of this cover here. There's a bunch of lily pads. We'll go over some techniques and whatnot. So stay tuned and we'll get right into it. So the first thing we're going to go over here is the different types of frogs. So you got these regular hollow-bodied frogs here that are just for walking. You know, you can reel them in at a constant, stop and go. And then you got these frogs here, which is a popping frog. They have the little concave front, and they're for, you know, popping action. You can twitch them, walk them, and they tend to kind of stir up a little bit more water. So you also have different size frogs. You have larger, medium-sized frogs, and then like this one here is a smaller frog. So smaller frogs are going to be better for high pressure areas, smaller bass, clear water. Also with clear water, more natural color frogs. So like this one's probably a little bit better for dirtier, darker water. And then this one here, which is a more natural, you know, color to it, brown, this will be a little bit better for clearer water. The setup that I'm throwing on right now is just it's a heavy rod, fast action. This is a 6-foot rod, and I have it paired with a Shimano SLX DC. It's a great reel, I love it. It's a 7-to-1 ratio, so it's kind of in the mid-range of speed. You kind of want a somewhat fast reel, especially if you're pulling out a cover or dense vegetation in the water. And the line that I'm using is a 50-pound braid, which also you want to use 50, 65-pound braid to help pull out of that vegetation, because if it's thick vegetation, you have a very, very good chance of your line snapping. And also the fast reel will be able to pull them out a little bit better. Also, you want to have a reel that has a decent amount of drag. I think this is 11 pounds, I think. So you want to be able to have a decent amount of drag, because that's the other thing. If your drag is too loose, you're just gonna pull, it's gonna drag out. Like, you're not gonna be able to have enough pressure to set the hook. So you want your drag pretty tight. So we're just gonna basically go over some areas that you can fish frogs, some different techniques, and yeah, so let's get into it, and we'll get into that, do some fishing, and hopefully we can catch something. As you can see here, we got a down tree with a bunch of branches in the water. There's a lot of vegetation here in the water. We got some lily pads and vegetation, well, I guess not really lily pads, but big leaves and vegetation over here. So we'll do some fishing around this. This is a great place to throw a frog. I'm gonna try a popping frog first. This might be a little bit better of a situation for a just regular frog, just because of getting hung up. Popping frogs can sometimes get hung up a little bit easier. And so let me turn my boat first, since it keeps turning on me. So you can throw into these vegetation here, these weeds and whatnot, or you can just kind of drag it over this stuff here that's on the surface of the water. So we're gonna kind of go right out in here, kind of drag it between the vegetation on the water, pop it a little bit. And to pop it, I'm just kind of not having any slack in my line and just giving a little yank. And that's gonna pop your frog. You can do it fast, you can do it slow. You just got to figure out what the fish want. So I like to pop it, give it a reel, pop it, give it a reel, pop it, give it a reel, pop it, give it a reel. like that. And if you want to walk the frog, you can have a little bit of a slack in your line and just give it a little yank like that with slack in your line. That'll walk the frog and make it kind of do this. But with a popping frog, I just want to sit here and kind of pop it. Just agitate the water. Bass really do not like that. It kind of aggravates them and they'll come up and they'll hit it. Sometimes popping frogs aren't the best for a lot of vegetation in the water like this, that will get hung up a lot easier. But we do have some open water over here we can also throw in. So we'll throw it out there and we'll just pop it. Kind of let it sit, pop it. You want to mimic a frog maybe that's injured, easy prey. Gotta adjust my boat again. This wind is brutal. Another thing with throwing a frog, since they are a little bit more of a dense bait, they're a little heavier. You want to kind of ease them into the water. So you want to try to, if you can, throw at a low trajectory and kind of pull back on, like when the bait's just hitting the water, you want to kind of pull back on your rod. And that'll kind of hopefully ease it into the water. Kind of like that. Kind of want to ease it in. And when it hits, you don't want to immediately start popping and reeling in like that. You want to kind of want to let it hit like that. Let it sit for a second, let the ripples kind of chill out. And if it does spook any fish, they'll kind of calm down a little bit and then start popping it and reeling it in. You want to let it sit. Get right in front of that cover like that. All them bushes and whatnot there. It's a really good place to throw right in front of, or if you can even get underneath a little bit, let it sit, pop. Because that's where a lot of frogs will be hanging out, on them branches and jumping in the water there. Same with back in here. If you can get back in cover like that. Anywhere near grass, kind of like over here. And if you're up close like this, you can do a technique called pitching or flipping. So you put your bait right around the same length as your reel, and you're gonna kind of do a little pitch like that. And you're gonna want to stop the line with your thumb. It's a very good technique to get into spaces, kind of underneath things like that. Not in it like that, but good place to get in and get into some tight spots. Get back in there. Another good technique for frogs is if you have some like shoreline or land, you can actually get up on the land like that and pull it in from the land. Kind of mimics the realism of a frog to the fish. So now we're gonna come back over here, kind of get around this cover and these vegetation here. So with vegetation like this, in cover like this, I like to kind of throw kind of on the outside of it, and you can drag it past the vegetation. Hopefully it will draw a bass out. You want to try and get in there as best as you can without getting hung up in that cover. Getting a little bit closer might help. We're actually going to tie another frog on for fishing all this, because there's a regular frog is going to do a lot better with this stuff, dragging it over all these weeds and whatnot. Man, that bird is loud. We're going to go ahead and tie this white frog here on to throw around this structure and whatnot. So I tied this white frog on. It's smaller, so maybe they were looking for something smaller. Seems like it's very hard fishing right now, so maybe they're looking for something smaller. It's a white color, so being an overcast day, also very easy for them to see in the water. So we'll throw this around. This isn't a popping frog, this is just a regular frog. The other thing with frogs is you want to cut these legs down, because they usually come really long. So usually you want to cut them down to around like an inch, inch and a half, and try to keep them as even as possible. That helps too. So I'm just going to kind of pitch around all these branches and whatnot. You can even kind of twitch this and whatnot too, or you can just kind of steady reel it in, stop and go. So you can do just a steady reel like this, or a stop and go where you reel it in, stop, reel it in, stop, reel it in, stop. I usually like to do one full turn, two full turns usually. Or you can do a twitch with this. You can kind of reel it, twitch it, just like a popping frog. Kind of mimics an injured frog. Something just came up to the right of me here. I swear, it's every time I'm fishing, they always come up to the right or left or behind me. The other thing with fishing a very tight kind of channel like this, so this is a channel off of a big lake. So fishing something like this, you gotta be somewhat stealthy and slow in your movements. Try not to splash, make too much noise. So I'm gonna try and get turned around here. I know there's fish in here, it's just I don't think they want to bite today.